Climate change, decarbonization and renewable energy, use cases and current trends.
The microphone is working. Good morning, everyone. We are very early here. It's the last day of AIBC. I'm glad to see some of you still alive, but we are going to talk about renewables, decarbonization, and climate change today. My name is Feres. I am a blockchain evangelist, but I also have a background in environmentalism and renewable energies. Andreas Becker here is going to give us some in-depth knowledge about the current energy transition in Germany that is built on blockchain in the future, but also some very niche and specific tech solutions that I don't know much about, but luckily he does. Some of the other panelists have cancelled, so instead of a public panel discussion, it will be more like a fireside chat. But I am super excited about this because I know that he knows something that I don't. So let's listen to him. Andreas, can you start with a small introduction?
Good morning, everyone. So micro is working. Thanks so much for having me, Feres, and good morning, everybody. My name's Andreas Becker. I used to work in the energy market, especially in Germany, over the past 20 years. Used to work for the largest renewable producer, Statkraft from Norway, and worked in an origination department later on as a senior trader, and so we experienced the whole transition to renewables over the past 20 years. Recently, over the past years, as you can see, I'm incorporated the Eyetencity group. We're mainly focused in Web3 solutions, helping companies to get into the Web3 space or virtual worlds, metaverses, and so on. And this is probably something quite good related, I think, when it comes to crypto, to the high energy demanding server structures, so that we can really discuss today.
Look, Andreas, I insist that before we deep dive into your solutions, that we address one point. Because many of you have maybe a background in blockchain or in crypto or in iGaming, but you are not really sure how renewable energy transition and energy efficiency is connected to blockchain. Everyone associates blockchain technology with electricity consumption because Bitcoin uses a lot of electricity, and that is true. But maybe we talk before we go to the other subjects about this and address this point.
Sure. So there are various ways, of course, to see this topic. So this leads me already probably to another point. Like in Germany, we call it redispatch 2.0, and should we probably start with that also, that I dive in a little bit into this whole topic. Because what we've now see, obviously the crypto market's picking up now, and so we really expect also increase in when it comes to AI server structures. Of course, they're really rising now in the markets worldwide, globally, but also with the rising prices in the crypto, of course, we will see much more mining capacities building up very soon, and currently doing already. And this is what contradicts a little bit this thing of renewable, new world, but on the other hand, what's the impact on the environmental things? And so what we see as a unique chance now with building all these new server structures is to use, or to think it in a new way, to use server structures as kind of, to run them a little bit like virtual pump storages, you can say, or at least physical pump storages. Because with all this sustainability and discussion about to increase renewable energy, it always brings back or comes to the conclusion, well, we don't have storage for that. Especially in Germany or Northern Europe in general, it's very difficult to get, or to plan new power pump storages, something like this. And because there's so much environmental impact on that, so that it's hard to store all this energy. And that lead to the really dramatic thing that just recent numbers, I think published last week. For Germany, for instance, it was more than 4 billion euros last year spent in the redispatch market, or this 𝐒𝐭𝐨𝐬𝐬 market just in Germany alone, 4.2 billion euros. And that means that more than 8 billion kilowatt hours, sorry for some numbers, but I think to give it a better picture, about 8,000 gigawatt hours or 8 billion kilowatt hours were not produced from renewables. So that means people invested in that. You have either wind parks or solar parks and so on, but 8 billion kilowatt hours not used. And now that brings me to the conclusion, what if we use all these flexibility of server structures in containers and so on to put it decentralized and use it as a pump storage, for instance, that you can balance the power, but because this is the major challenge in the new energy markets globally right now.
It's a challenge, yes, but it's also an opportunity, because what Andreas is just outlining here is, instead of sending 4 billion euro worth of electricity to go poof, we can use it to produce something of value, and that is Bitcoin.
Exactly. It could be Bitcoin. It can be everything on a blockchain. Yeah. So, of course, it's all these AI models, all these rendering farms with the latest virtual worlds now. Of course, it costs a lot of energy demanding server capacities, and we can really use it and run them as kind of pump storages. Pump storage means, to give you an example, at the moment, coal power plants is the most common in Europe. Together with nuclear power, of course. But in Germany, after shutdown all the nuclear power, we run a lot of coal power. And here you have 700 grams roughly per produced kilowatt hours in carbon, when speaking about carbon. It's a bit less in the gas power plant, so it's about 500 to 600 grams per kilowatt hour. And now make the math. If it's 8 billion not produced renewables last year, and you could rather use it for Bitcoin mining, for AI solutions, and so on, it would be neutral. And by the same time, it would even help the grids to balance their power, to stabilize, because we have this 50 hertz in European grids. And it's really bringing us closer to possible power outages, and we have seen several hundred cases of that, very close events last year in Germany that really could happen, something like shutdowns of the quite big region of Germany. So, and this is a problem we are facing every day when it comes to dispatching in the energy markets across Europe, and this could really help to avoid this.
Andreas, we are familiar with power cuts in Malta, so we know what you're talking about. But also, the electricity that can be stored in server capacities can be used to render new solutions in the Metaverse. Mm-hmm. That is also something that you're working with in regards to renewable energies, right?
Definitely, yes. So it can be stored, or let's put it that way, to make a quick summary of what a power storage or pump storage means, actually. Coal power plants, and this is what most people don't think about it, and customers, it takes a couple of days to run a coal power plant. So it's not this flexibility to say, oh, well, let's say we have a lot of installed several gigawatt hours of wind power in Germany, offshore, onshore, and out of the blue there is no wind within seconds. And then you need to react. And coal power plants don't have the flexibility to act for this. And even gas power plants, it's still a couple of hours that you really can optimize and balance your grid. And you don't need to discuss nuclear power plants, of course. You have always some flexibility but of course you cannot shut down within a minute a complete nuclear power plant. And here, when speaking about servers flexibilities, here we're talking about 20 seconds to 30 seconds reaction time. So that means sun goes off, maybe it's a cloudy, some clouds coming in, and it brings down the solar power by 20% within minutes. So then, of course, you need a quick reaction on that. And so I think server capacities could really use it. But then, of course, we should keep in mind to use it as a virtual or as a physical pump storage. It means you always need never to run on full capacity your servers. Let's say you have a 50 megawatt data center somewhere. it's wise, if you use it that way, to just book 25 or just use 25 megawatt of it, so that you're always flexible in both sides. So that means as soon the grid operator needs to get rid of power because it's too much power in the grid, you're still able to get within 20 seconds the other 25 megawatt to help a local grid and of course the general grid. Or the other way around, well, there's a higher demand in energy because stability of the grid is always two ways. So then of course it's good to shut down the servers within seconds. And let's say we're not talking about hospital servers or very strong infrastructures. Sometimes if it comes to AI models or something like this, or Bitcoin mining, of course no one wants to lose money, but of course it doesn't harm anyone in a way. So if you shut down, we're talking sometimes about half an hour, 1 hour, yeah. But by the same time, I see a huge potential for grid operators, but also for the big power producers to compensate this rather in a way. To say, okay, I give my flexibility of my data center to this grid operator. By the same time, whenever he shuts down my servers, I get a compensation, let's say, of 0.08 or whatever. It's still much, much cheaper than the 4 billion what they currently do. Yeah?
In regards to the metaverse, this backup storage could also be used, the digital pumping storage facility could also be used to line up some rendering jobs for new universes or new projects.
Yeah.
Then you gear them up, wait until the sun is shining or the wind is blowing, and then the calculation starts, yes?
Exactly. So this is one of the use cases there. And this is really not a sensitive topic, yeah, that you say, okay, you would rather have it ready right now, but maybe if it takes half an hour longer for the rendering process, which is sometimes, depends on the projects, a couple of days of rendering time. So no one cares if it's an hour longer or not. But when talking about sustainability and environmental impact, so this is I think could be one solution. Of course, it wouldn't solve all the energy problems in the world, but it could have a real strong impact to help these renewable energies to get this flexibility. You know?
And also to be more profitable in the usage, because then you always have the overshoot capacity. Instead of sending it to Norway, to the mountains, you actually use it for something in the server, whatever it is. It's AI, Bitcoin mining, or Metaverse. But tell me, what is it that you are visualizing in the Metaverse?
Well, this is another part to help also this environmental thing, because we're talking with a lot of power producers in renewables. They're investing a lot in wind parks and solar parks and some others. And we often see that they're struggling to get end customers more involved in that, because for them it's too abstract. It's like, well, I know it's good to have an investment in renewables, but let's say, how should I invest in Brazil or in Spain when I'm from Norway or Spain? I first want to see what I'm investing in something like this. So we see a lot, high demand of energy companies now, that we help them to produce this, to visualize solar parks, wind parks, and in a way of 4K resolution, photorealism, that people can really interactively explore a specific solar park with the entire environment visualized as well, that you really feel like you have been there. So, and you can walk through the solar panels, you can visit the dispatch room and get a better feeling. Then the new AI development comes in place. I mean, it's still new. I know ChatGPT is a year ago now, but so it's still new for most of the use cases. So, and there's still a lot of potential that you get all the answers about environmental impact. What does it mean when I participate in the solar park? How much carbon would it save? And what business can I make from it? And so on. So, and visualization is quite a strong. It could really help to get more people involved, and also make the link to decarbonization, so that people see. So what does it mean? So how much carbon do I really save? Because carbon is also a very abstract thing. And I think here we have various ways of make brilliant visualizations, and we're talking with creators about this together with the energy companies. And there's quite a lot of potential.
I'm curious. I mean, it was a bit last minute to visualize the sea on stage.
Yeah.
But could you come up with some examples? Because we're talking like a wind park, we're talking a solar park or hydro pumping facility. How would you visualize the decarbonization of it? Let's say one big windmill that has a capacity of 2 megawatt. It's a big one that is like 80 or 120 meters in height. How would you visualize the decarbonization of it? As an example.
Yeah, of course, there are various ways. So this is also more a design part. So, and some people have different approaches to visualize this. We could do it, of course, with some pollution. We say, okay, what
like
would
a cloud?
Yeah, like a cloud. It could be like in the movies, like a green cloud or something. So dark green, scary, and so on, so that you feel okay, it's poisoned, something like this.
The skull,
because carbon is just 0.04% in our air, in our atmosphere. Yeah, so it's now I think recently more than 400 ppms, but it's still not visible for people and touchable. And by the same time, we have always the discussion of what came first. Yeah, because what we know over the past 1 million years, it's always first the Earth warming, and with a delay of 400 to 500 years, then we see the carbon increasing. And now recently we have more discussions, okay, what if it changed, and what if the other way around? But still, I think it doesn't matter to discuss, because there are two big, strong arguments on both sides. So first the Earth warming, then the carbon increase. There are quite simple explanations for that, because if you compare, you have about 3,000 gigatons of 2,500 gigatons of carbon in the atmosphere, but we have about 130,000 gigatons stored in the oceans. And whenever you last night the party, whenever some people drank some beer, probably you see it's there's CO2 inside, of course, but as soon it's getting warmer, the beer, so it released the carbon to the air. So, and this is the effect we see in the oceans. But anyways, it doesn't make any difference what's first. There's a common sense that we need to reduce this CO2 impact to the atmosphere. So, and this could really help.
I totally agree. But I'm just curious, before we end the panel, and maybe have one question from the audience, if anybody wants to know something of Andreas. How do you visualize it? You talk about gigatons of carbon. I don't even know how a gigaton looks like. You talk about carbon in a beer. What tools of visualization do you have in the metaverse to show decarbonization?
Yeah, first of all, what we experienced also when it comes to visualization of big real estate projects, what we currently do, or retailers and so on, what we decided is, because the technology is already there, when you see the leading graphic engines in the world, like if it's Unity or we've chosen Unreal Engine and so on, you have a 4K resolution, you have photorealism. So first of all, we decided whenever it comes to metaverse projects to advise our customers, well, look for some solutions so that we make it photorealistic, because it doesn't help like some of these recent metaverse projects in the market. It was too much gamification. It was too much just a 90 years graphic from like a Game Boy from the 90s. Pixelized graphics like Game Boys from the 90s. Yeah. So, and here it's even harder to understand. If you see a comic, you cannot take it serious. So we say, okay, take the reality into the metaverse. And so then we take it from here and we start to visualize the whole process, that you compare power plant, a coal power plant next to a gas power plant, then you have your windmill. There are various ways, as I said, yeah, so that you can really have this impact, and you see the big clouds, then the smaller clouds, and so on. But you can also see that end customers are interested to step in and to help them to find the right investment solution in wind park investments or solar park investments. And here another part which is really covered in the Web3 and in crypto or blockchain in general is the tokenization of solar projects, tokenization of wind park projects. And we have current talks, and we see the best practice also with the big energy suppliers across Europe. There's a high demand on both sides. Yeah, end customers are interested, and we try to help people to find the link between, how to get connected with the right investment in.
Both legally, but also visually to start with.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Andreas, that sounds super interesting. Do we have time for one question in the audience? Is there anyone who sits with a question for Andreas? You can put your hand. There's one question.
What is the comparison between the carbonization that is focused on reducing using green energy and versus right now we are in the trend that a lot of electric cars are out there. So it's my opinion that producing these batteries is also generating deadly amount of carbons. So what is your take on this? Like how do you envision that? Is there a way that we can reduce? Like how you see these batteries from these electric cars will transform in order to decarbonize?
You mean the battery as a material, or you?
When you manufacture it. When you manufacture it, like the amount of carbons that we want to reduce through just burning fuel in the regular cars versus the batteries that actually we think that are reducing the carbons in the in the atmosphere has the same amount or even more impact. So what is your take on how do you envision what should we do in this industry where EVs are more popular today, but the carbonization is not reduced? That's the question a lot of people have.
Well, in general, this is of course something we cannot do from the energy side or from the Web3 side. We cannot have any impact on that on the material use of batteries. But I know there are several projects out there now inventing new technologies of better storage, battery storages, some other than lithium, for instance, lithium-ion. Of course, we see a similar topic is probably also with the solar industry, that we say, let's optimize this because the material, how to get it out of the earth, to say, when you see the mining of cobalt and all these things, it's really ridiculous. So that we say, of course, in northern Germany, for instance, this is also one of the topics, close to Bremen, it's northern Germany, we have just 900 hours of solar power per year in average, in compared to 1,500 hours, let's say, in Bulgaria, in the south of, or Greece, even more. So why, when we see the global environmental impact, why not really concentrating on put much more solar power in the south of Europe instead of the north? Because I now have recently seen that even Norway put some subsidies and compensations to get more solar power. And this is really a miracle to me, because I used to work for Statkraft, this huge multi-billion-dollar water power company. They have never been involved in nuclear power and anything like this. It's always water power. And their challenge is they cannot have enough grid power to transport the energy. And there's a lot of energy, water energy in Norway, and this is clean energy already. So why in the dark periods of Norway, why should we install solar power there? And by the same, when we see, okay, there are 6-year-old children, 8-year-old children working in the mines 12 hours a day. And but we see, okay, we have this green power in Germany, and we are doing something good for the world, but we have to see the overall impact, I think. So what's the best use for this material, even when it comes with these, really bad, sometimes production,
That is it for this panel. Thank you very much, Andreas.